Hurry up, escape from the back exit right now. There's no time. Can't wait. Your safety isn't guaranteed as it is.
Along with David's serious gaze, he grabbed my arm and led me backwards. What on earth is happening? Why is he so frantic? Seemingly sensing my confusion, David explained the situation to me in detail. I was stunned by his revelation. Why would John have such a plan? We've built trust over a long time, but where has that trust gone? It's not my fault. Facing John and his family now is unthinkable. If I do, my life could be in direct danger. The betrayal from John and his parents is too harsh, and I need to prioritize my own safety now. Their actions are absolutely unforgivable. If David hadn't acted quickly to guide me elsewhere, the worst could have happened. I can never forgive them. I have to confront them and find out the truth. I've decided to take action to rectify this situation. With this in mind, I hurriedly left the sushi restaurant. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old and live my daily life as a housewife. I enjoy my life with my husband, John, and my in-laws, living as a harmonious family of 4. John and I previously worked together at the same company. Both of us were passionate about our jobs. Although we had different roles, we always pushed each other and enjoyed our mutual growth. Within that connection, we discovered deeper feelings for each other beyond just colleagues and started dating. Naturally, we moved to the next stage, marriage. Our wedding was a joyous occasion celebrated by many friends. Among them, my close friend Lily was especially moved, shedding tears of joy at our wedding.
Please build a warm and happy home in the days to come.
Receiving her words, Lily, along with other friends, handed me a heartfelt bouquet as a surprise. Wrapped in that warmth, I felt the pinnacle of happiness and was moved to tears, a moment I remember vividly. It was memorable when Lily, with a smile, jokingly said,
"You're getting emotional and crying again, huh?"
Lily and I have shared a deep friendship since childhood. Our childhood homes were close by, and we spent countless hours at each other's places. The reason we maintained our relationship as close friends bound by deep ties is that we felt strong trust and affection in the time we spent together. While we did make new friends over time, our special moments with Lily were always at the center of our hearts. Receiving heartfelt blessings from such a precious friend was probably the happiest moment I've ever felt. I look forward to expanding this happiness further. Just thinking about it makes my heart race. As a new stage after getting married, my husband and I chose to live with our in-laws. The cause was back pain my father-in-law was experiencing, making his daily tasks a bit challenging. When I learned about this, I naturally thought about supporting them.
Sarah, are you sure about this decision? It might affect our newlywed life.
John expressed this concern repeatedly, but my thoughts never changed. Getting married means starting anew as a large family, including the in-laws. I believe that a family should always help and support each other. So, if there's anything I can do for them, I'd gladly choose to do so.
I'm grateful that such a young couple like you decided to live with us. I feel guilty for making you compromise your new marital life.
When I proposed living with my father-in-law, a slightly apologetic expression appeared on his face. However, leaving a family member in distress would be even more painful for me. Later, accepting John's sincere request, I gave up my job and started life as a full-time housewife. My daily life became busier than I imagined. I was responsible for the daily support of my in-laws, whose health I was a bit concerned about, as well as the daily household chores. Moreover, I had to ensure quality time with John, who would return home looking tired after a long day, and occasionally plan activities to entertain my in-laws. Undoubtedly, while I felt satisfaction in my days, I couldn't deny the occasional fatigue and stress. The scarce refreshment times weighed on my mind the most. However, with a strong feeling that if I didn't put in the effort, who would, I persevered day by day.
Today was really tough. The department head suddenly handed me a complex task. Moreover, the deadline is shockingly soon. With such a workload, overtime is inevitable. It would have been easier to plan if they had informed me earlier.
In the evening, when John comes home looking tired after a long day, he sinks deep into the couch, grabs a drink, and starts talking about the challenges at work and especially about friction with his new boss. It seems that he has some kind of delicate relationship with that boss, and it's evident that it's causing him daily stress. John, good job today. You really face a lot of challenges every day, and I admire you for that. I offered words of appreciation to him. In reality, listening to his concerns and complaints wasn't hard for me, since he is the breadwinner of our household. I felt that it was my role to understand and support his feelings. When I placed a glass of cold water in front of him, John showed a bit of appreciation, took it, and gulped it down in one breath.
Sarah, come to think of it, I'm the only one working all the time. Aren't housewives just relaxing at home most of the time?
What? I felt a chill in my heart at his sudden words. Somehow, I sensed a subtle sarcasm towards my decision to quit my job and focus on the household.
Sorry, I might have misspoken. I understand that being a housewife has its challenges too. I appreciate all the household chores and support you provide for our family.
After he said that, the atmosphere in the room felt a bit colder for a moment. Noticing this, John tried to lighten the mood with a smile. After those seemingly joking words, I felt more relaxed and the tension in my shoulders eased. However, although John's demeanor remained normal, his words kept nagging at me. As days went by, I felt a little different. I began to question my role as a stay-at-home wife and felt insecure. I started wondering if John might be a bit dissatisfied with me working only at home. Noticing my emotions and expressions, my in-laws approached me.
Sarah, is there something on your mind? If there's anything you'd like to discuss with us, please don't hesitate.
Keeping concerns to yourself can amplify them. We're worried too, so please let us know if something's up.
Touched by my in-laws' kind words, I decided to share my recent experiences and rising insecurities. I've been wondering if John thinks it's genuinely okay for me to be at home, or if I should be working outside. I've had these swirling emotions and thoughts, and I wanted to be honest about them. At first, my in-laws actively listened to what I had to say. While watching me speak, they showed a sense of understanding. However, when I mentioned the possibility of returning to work, my mother-in-law's expression changed dramatically, as if she had realized something, and she looked somewhat puzzled.
Do you perhaps want to work again? I'm sorry, but that might be difficult. We want you, Sarah, to fulfill your role at home as a full-time housewife.
Right? Considering our aging, we think you'll need to support us as well.
Their unexpected reaction made me blurt out, "What? Why are my in-laws so concerned about my way of life and working? I will do all the household chores and support you both properly. I intend to do my best not to cause any trouble. However, I'm honestly worried about John continuing to work in his current state. I believe he has his limits too. So, I've been thinking about finding a balanced approach."
You don't need to worry about that. Your role is in the house, to fulfill your duties as a full-time housewife. Just do that well. Do you understand?
Struck by mother-in-law's assertive words, I was at a loss for words and stood frozen. I can't understand. Why am I treated this way? Mother-in-law's words surely pierced my heart. Yet, not wanting to escalate the situation, I managed a wry smile and replied, "Understood." On the surface, the subsequent days seemed unchanged, but the subtle tension was palpable, pressuring my heart. Amid this, one day, John made a heartwarming proposal. Given his recent bonus, he suggested celebrating our continuous efforts and dedication by spending a special evening at a high-end sushi restaurant in the city at the end of the month. He had been interested in that restaurant for a while, so I left the choice to him. Meanwhile, I busied myself thinking about the dress and accessories I'd wear for that special night. Finally, the much-anticipated day arrived. Not only John but also my in-laws were excited about this new experience. I was full of anticipation about what would be served and the flavors I'd get to savor. Standing at the entrance of the upscale sushi restaurant, as John gave our names, an experienced-looking sushi chef greeted us warmly, saying, "We've been expecting you, and let us inside." While being guided to the room, another sushi chef called out my name and said,
"Sarah, please come to the private room we've prepared especially for you."
Although I had made the reservation with everyone else, why was I being taken to a different room? The interior of the restaurant was much more luxurious and tasteful than I had imagined. I could tell that this wasn't a standard procedure, but without understanding the situation, I just followed them to the room. Once I entered the room, after a brief moment of silence, the door quietly opened, and a man dressed as a sushi chef came in.
"I apologize for calling you so suddenly. Do you remember me?"
When I looked closely at his face, it seemed somewhat familiar. It was David, the husband of Lily, whom I had met only once at Lily's wedding a few years ago. Lily had often told me about his kind nature and various anecdotes about him. But why was he here, and why had he called me to this room? If it was just a greeting as acquaintances, it could be done in front of everyone. My mind was filled with questions about his intentions. Then, David suddenly grabbed my shoulder with a serious expression, as if he was about to convey something important.
"You need to leave through the back door as soon as possible. We don't have much time. If you continue eating."
I was taken aback by David's urgent words. Before I could comprehend what was happening, my focus shifted to the order list he showed me. The list contained dishes primarily consisting of shrimp and crab. I have a severe allergy to crustaceans. Eating those would be extremely dangerous for me. Both John and my in-laws should have known about this allergy since a previous incident. At that time, I accidentally ate shrimp and suffered from an anaphylactic shock. Why would John choose such a menu? It seemed like they had no intention of serving me a safe meal, and I couldn't understand why. If I had unknowingly eaten shrimp or crab, how would they have responded? In this unbelievable situation, I felt the trust I had built with them for so long instantly shatter. It was clear that my safety wasn't insured here. I needed to protect myself at this very moment. Thank you so much for helping me. However, I've decided to leave. I deeply bowed in gratitude. At that moment, a hint of relief was evident on David's face as he gently smiled and complimented my decision, saying,
You've made a good choice.
Under his kind guidance, I quietly exited the upscale sushi restaurant I had long looked forward to visiting. Admittedly, missing out on the delicious sushi I had anticipated was a disappointment. However, thinking of David's promise to make sushi especially for me in the near future warmed my heart. My first action after returning home was to call Lily. Why had John and my in-laws acted so recklessly towards me? While pondering this, I suddenly recalled a story Lily once told me about people who plan to murder their family members to claim huge insurance payouts. In fact, a few years ago, at John's insistence, I had taken out a life insurance policy. I clearly remembered how passionately he persuaded me, assuring that there was absolutely no downside to getting the insurance. Because Lily is deeply involved in the insurance industry, she was able to provide me with detailed information and professional advice. With her explanation, I was convinced that I would not suffer any loss by joining, and despite some reservations, I eventually decided to enroll in the life insurance. When I called Lily to inform her of what had happened, fortunately, she was at home and responded immediately. I explained everything to her in detail, eager to hear her thoughts and opinions on the matter. With a look of shock, she exclaimed,
That's just unbelievable. Putting a close friend like you in danger just for money. They must pay for this.
From Lily's intensity, I could tell her anger was profound. My own heart swelled with rage, mirroring her fury. In the sushi restaurant, I was focused on keeping myself safe, unable to ponder other matters. However, now, a strong resentment and desire for revenge bubbled up within me towards John and my in-laws, who had seemingly targeted my life for money. Therefore, Lily and I decided to plan our retaliatory actions against them. As we brainstormed various strategies, one particular plan stood out who had seemingly targeted my life for money as something we could immediately undertake. I assume John and my in-laws are currently enjoying delicious sushi at a high-end sushi restaurant in the city. Seizing the moment while they were out, I quickly selected my most important belongings in my room, packed them swiftly, and prepared to leave. If they realized I was still at home and my safety was insured, it's hard to predict their next move. For my own safety, it was crucial to distance myself from John and my in-laws as soon as possible. In this situation, Lily kindly offered,
Come to my house.
Her place is safe, and I'm considering staying there for a while. After packing everything, I quietly closed the house door and headed to Lily's home. When I arrived, she warmly greeted me, saying,
I've been waiting for you.
Hearing her words, the tension that had built up inside me started to dissipate, and I sank into a seat, feeling relieved. The events and threats from John had made me realize the danger to my life, leading to sleepless nights filled with fear. What if I accidentally bumped into John or my in-laws? And what if the plan I've been thinking of doesn't go well? Such thoughts constantly troubled my mind. Sensing my distress, Lily comforted me, saying,
It's okay, you're safe here.
The words from a dear friend I deeply trust calmed my anxious heart. I felt a sigh of relief mixed with gratitude. However, the tranquility didn't last long. Shortly after, the sound of an incoming phone call echoed in the room. The caller ID showed it was from my mother-in-law. Although I expected her call, seeing it actually happen reignited my anxiety. When our eyes met, it felt like Lily and I were silently communicating. Gathering courage, I answered the call and put it on speaker mode.
Heather, where are you now? We came home and noticed some of your things are missing.
From her voice, I could sense a hint of urgency and surprise. Likely, upon returning from the sushi restaurant, they found I wasn't home and noticed some of my belongings missing. I apologized for acting without notice. But living with people who might endanger my life became unbearable for me. I sincerely conveyed, It was clear that since she didn't stop John's dangerous actions, she agreed with him. Despite the urge to avoid a conversation with mother-in-law in these circumstances, I encouraged myself and decided to face this challenging situation head-on.
What are you talking about? Explain specifically what happened. Are you saying John and we did something wrong?
Hearing those words, a clear surprise and a hint of suspicion could be detected in mother-in-law's voice. From her mention of John, too, it was evident she knew something. I almost wanted to laugh at her clumsy attempt to hide it. Struggling to keep my composure, I tried to calmly explain my position and thoughts. There's no need to hide anything anymore. I can sense that you're all up to something, but actions that threaten a life are morally injustifiable. I'm committed to ensuring my safety. In fact, I had a severe allergic reaction when I accidentally consumed shrimp in the past. It was a life-threatening situation, and there's no guarantee that I'd survive if it happens again. What would you have done if I had died? Once lost, some things can never be reclaimed, whether it's a life or trust between people. Once the floodgates of my emotions were opened, they poured out like an uncontrollable torrent of rain. I felt Lily standing next to me, deeply absorbing and empathizing with every word I said. Her support was the reason I could voice my innermost feelings to mother-in-law honestly. Just think about it. When I expressed my desire to work outside instead of just playing a household role, did you respect that wish? Or do you remember urging me strongly to continue as a stay-at-home wife? Your attitude then gave me a glimpse of your feelings towards me. Still, I tried my best to trust, thinking of you as my own family. I never imagined that trust would lead to betrayal. As emotions welled up, my words flowed continuously. In the face of my intense emotions, mother-in-law seemed overwhelmed and at a loss for words. In the past, I would have listened to mother-in-law and tried to understand her side of the story. But now, I couldn't find that level of patience or understanding within me, especially my feelings towards John and my in-laws. They were incomparably more intense and heated than before. I felt deep anger and disappointment towards their attitude. Despite putting me in danger, they seemed to panic and contact me the moment they sensed something was wrong. Please don't expect my daily life from now on to return to the tranquility it once had, and I ask you to keep a distance from my life. As for the divorce proceedings and other administrative matters, I plan to contact John in the future. Please convey that to my father-in-law. After conveying these strong words, I immediately ended the call with my mother-in-law. Since then, my mother-in-law tried contacting my cell phone numerous times, but I never responded to any of her calls. To avoid her relentless attempts, I added her number to my block list. However, I wasn't planning to stop there. To be honest, my real action was just about to begin. The next night, I called John when I figured he'd be home relaxing after work. As soon as the phone rang, he answered immediately.
Is that you, Sarah? I'm so relieved you called. My mom told me she couldn't get a hold of you, and I was wondering what to do. Tell me where you are. Let's meet in person and clear up any misunderstandings.
I had expected him to make excuses right until the end. What misunderstanding? I thought. The malicious intent directed at me is a clear fact that cannot be denied. Even if there were some misunderstandings between us, it doesn't justify his actions. I can never forgive behavior like John's. I wonder if he realizes how much his actions have hurt me. John, you always seem to think about protecting yourself. Let me be clear, I've made up my mind. I think we should divorce. The thought of living as a couple with someone who endangers my life is unbearable from the bottom of my heart. I can't see any value or meaning in continuing a relationship with people who don't prioritize my safety and feelings. The most crucial thing in this situation is to ensure my safety. The best means to achieve that has to be sought out by me. And now, John and my in-laws are the obstacles that stand in my way.
Divorce? You're joking, right? If you're seriously considering it, have you thought about the risks of a challenging life ahead? Do you really believe you'll find happiness that way?
Indeed, as a housewife who has supported our household for a long time, I anticipate many challenges when re-entering society. However, when comparing those difficulties with the daily fear for my life, the choice is clear. My current decision is to ensure my safety and life. Seeing Robert's reaction, he seems to think my decision is misguided, but I have faith in my choice. There's no reason to accept that. Honestly, I think it's pointless talking to you now. It's meaningless to even converse. By the way, did you know that the owner of that sushi restaurant witnessed what you did? If your misconduct becomes public, your reputation will be utterly ruined. Furthermore, there's a possibility that even your mother-in-law and her family could be implicated in this matter. With a smirk, I coldly informed him of this. His shocked and desperate voice was evident on the other end of the phone, searching for words. He took a deep breath and once again pleaded for forgiveness.
Please, reconsider. I truly love you. I deeply regret my actions. I want us to start over.
As I listened to him, my heart was filled with rage. I had no choice but to harbor these feelings towards his past choices and actions. I deeply regretted ever marrying such a person. There's no need to talk anymore. Whatever happens to you from now on is your own choice, but try to live a good life. I then ended our conversation there. Although John kept saying things like please wait a bit longer or do something about it, there was no reason for me to heed his pleas. Above all, maintaining a relationship with John and my in-laws in this situation was unthinkable for me. Spending any more time for their sake seemed extremely inefficient and worthless in my eyes. The moment I blocked his contact, the tension and discomfort that had been building up inside me were swept away, and I felt refreshed. After things had settled down a bit, I called my friend Lily. Sensing my emotions, she said,
You really did well.
The moment I heard Lily's warm words, tears welled up in my eyes and flowed freely. After that, I sent an official divorce paper to John. However, I didn't get any response or signature from him. Perhaps he never intended to end our marriage. Thus, I decided to take further action by hiring a lawyer and expert in the field to mediate the divorce. Due to David and his specific testimony, it became clear that John and his family threatened my life to get insurance money. Once this fact was confirmed, they had no choice but to face legal consequences. Currently, the three of them are serving time in prison. In the mediation session, they vehemently claimed their innocence. They also repeatedly made baseless excuses, saying I was hostile to my in-laws. However, not a single piece of concrete evidence was presented for these claims. To be honest, their statements were so unbelievable that I couldn't help but laugh out loud. After the incident, I returned to society and have been living a peaceful life. I heard about a clerical job opening at the insurance company where Lily worked. Since I had already obtained the necessary qualifications for the position, I decided to apply for the job without hesitation. Now, I'm working hard at that company as a way of expressing my gratitude to Lily and David. Through all these tumultuous events, I deeply regretted causing so much trouble for Lily and David. Normally, they wouldn't get involved in someone else's family issues, yet they got entangled in my personal problem. Despite my guilt, they comforted me gently. Lily told me,
You did a great job protecting yourself.
and David assured me,
It's not your fault. I'm saying this knowing all the circumstances.
Their warm words deeply moved me, and I couldn't hold back my tears. As long as I live, my profound gratitude to Lily and David will never fade. Lily and I have been playmates since childhood, growing together and forging a bond of utmost trust as best friends. And then there's David, Lily's life partner, always supporting her warmly. Though not related by blood, they didn't hesitate to help me in tough times. For their kindness and unwavering support, I feel a deep desire to express my gratitude in some form every day. I've renewed my determination to give my utmost, both for them and for myself.